sun.
I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Listen to Pavarotti. Can I be your superhero?
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I'm your host Pavarotti, and I'm here to discuss the Idaho 4 case. And no sooner than I come back, try to reveal some truth to people out there, and not only do I have to listen to the brain deads on that side, but then I get even bigger brain deads on this side that I have to address before I even get into the subject matter that I'm trying to bring to you. I just watched a portion of a video from, just in my opinion, just a straight moron. I don't know how Birdie puts up with her, but this Phoenix lady who I've tried to listen to Birdie in the past, and whenever she comes on, I turn it off anyways, because she's very, not here to talk bad about people, but very, let's just say very dense in her abilities to extrapolate the truth from a subject. So she goes on to a cursory search of LinkedIn, like I haven't been all over the LinkedIn page for Mr. Schneider. And she ascertains based on looking at that, well, his kid was in high school in 2022. There's no way he lived there. Even though I've shown all the receipts for his stepfather having the address number 43 in the Queen Road apartments that he rented for him. And here's one thing that I'd like to ask this very, very not so sharp as a bowling ball lady is, if you're ascertaining that Schneider was in high school in 2022, and that's your big debunk, well, explain to me how a young man who's 23 today would have been in high school in 2022. Can you explain that one to me? I mean, by all math accounts, that would make him 20 years old in 2022 at the earliest, maybe 19, about to turn 20. A little bit old for a high school student there, isn't it, Phoenix? Why don't you go and get you a calculator, learn 2 plus 2, and once you come up with 4, continue making videos. Until then, why don't you stick to your own subject matter, ma'am? Thank you. Because what I'm trying to do here is provide truth in a dark subject. And now that I've got one of the alternate perpetrators and being able to take that information and work backwards from it based on everything that we've already uncovered, well, there are so many things that are becoming very clear in this matter. So clear that I normally wouldn't even take the time to address idiocy like that. But in this case, I'm going to take time to address it, because it seems to me like there is a faction out there that people aren't aware of that really are trying to stifle truth. And I'm not going to let it happen. Not in this case. Too much time and effort, too much on the line. And the other thing I want to address in this video, though, because I will get into some real stuff here real soon, because you know that I have uncovered so much that I will be bringing. And there's one other thing, though, that I do need to cover. And that's the fact that we were all told at the end of the sentencing hearing that Ann Taylor and defense team were no longer Brian Kohberger's attorney, right? If he wanted to file appeals, anything that he wanted to do going forward, Brian Kohberger did not have Ann Taylor and team as an attorney. And I believe I heard in my comments, never watched the video, but this is interesting. But I believe people told me that this Phoenix lady actually called Brian Kohberger's attorney's office, Ann Taylor's office, and inquired, and they told her that they were no longer representing Brian Kohberger, which is another reason for me to question where this lady's even coming from. Because if Ann Taylor is no longer representing Brian Kohberger, explain to me how, after Brian Kohberger was incarcerated at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution and things started to come out about photographs and videos of Brian Kohberger in that institution, why would somebody who's not his attorney inquire on why those things are being released and file court information about getting information about who released those things. So those two things don't add up. So when you talk about debunking amateurs, well, this is going to be how you do it. So they said they contacted Kohberger's attorney's office, Ann Taylor, and she was no longer representing Kohberger in any way, according to this person that I've been referring to since the beginning of this video. Well, let's read a quick article by the Statesman and see if there's any contradictory information in this article about that. Let's take a look here. Okay, this is an article by the Statesman that was published on September 18th. Let's see, September 18th, 2025. Judge sentenced Brian Kohberger to multiple life terms without parole for the unalivings of 4 University of Idaho students. The court imposed consecutive sentences, substantial fines, and denounced his actions as the worst of the worst by Ada County Courthouse, Lou May Alisai. The source of a security footage leak of Brian Kohberger in an Idaho prison cell remains undiscovered a month after videos of the man convicted of killing the 4 University of Idaho students were published online, in violation of the Idaho Department of Correction policy. Prison leaders pledged in August to root out the individual or individuals responsible through an investigation of its corrections staff if the IMSI prison known as IMSI. The leak represents a clear violation of IDOC standard procedures, officials said, and the leaker could be fired or charged with a crime. Videotaping and publicly sharing security footage is prohibited conduct, and we will be reviewing all legal options, including criminal prosecution, the prison system said in a statement last month. The safety and security of our staff and incarcerated population remain our top priority. At the time, the agency warned of the possibility the footage was faked or generated with artificial intelligence. But an internal email from IDOC Director Bree Derrick to prison staff the same day last month, obtained by the Idaho Statesman through a public records request, stated a strong belief the footage was real. These appear to be taken from inside IMSI. We are taking this matter very seriously, she wrote. IDOC officials confirmed to the Statesman on Wednesday that they determined the video of Kohberger was genuine, but still do not have a suspect. While many edited or AI-enhanced versions of the video still exist, we have determined that the original video appears to be authentic and in clear violation of the IDOC policy. IDOC spokesman Sanda Kuzeda Kuramagic said in a statement, "The investigation into this matter is ongoing and remains a priority." Look, there's the prison. And it says, Idaho State Police typically oversees investigations at the state prisons, but IDOC is handling the review of the video leak internally, ISP spokesman Aaron Snell told the Statesman. It is under active investigation, IDOC spokesman Blake Lopez told the Statesman by email earlier this month. About 3 weeks into the inquiry, we do not have any updates to share. Now, Kohberger, 30, pleaded guilty in July to 4 counts of first-degree unaliving in an agreement with prosecutors to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to consecutive life terms with no chance of parole or ability to appeal. The college student victims were University of Idaho seniors Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. The 3 women lived in an off-campus home in Moscow. Chapin was Kernodle's boyfriend and slept over for the night. They were stabbed to death with a large fixed-blade knife in November of 2022, amongst other things. Now, right here, it gets kind of weird, though, since we were told that Ann Taylor is no longer Kohberger's attorney as of the actual sentencing, and even confirmed through the, investigative work of people like this Phoenix lady. But in contradictory fashion, as always, just hours after his sentencing hearing, Kohberger was transferred from the Ada County Jail in Boise to the maximum security prison near Kuna on July 23rd. According to prison system housing records, 6 days later, he was moved from a medical unit where he was initially held to a solitary confinement cell in the prison's J block, the record showed. So was that actually a medical unit where they got video of Kohberger? It sure looked like it to me. On August 14th, now this would have been, over 3 weeks after the sentencing? Kohberger's attorney, Ann Taylor. Wait a minute. So she was still working on behalf of Kohberger as late as August 14th, apparently. Well, his attorney emailed state prison leadership about 2 short video clips posted to Reddit of what seemed to be her client in prison. Taylor's email was included in correspondence between IDOC staff and officials in the governor's office that the statement obtained through a public records request. The videos are purported to have come from a guard taking video of security cameras covering Brian's cell, Taylor wrote. I'm bringing this to your attention because this causes me concern for my client, Mr. Kohberger's safety. Kohberger's public defense team declined interview requests from the Statesman since a long-standing gag order was lifted in the high-profile unaliving case in mid-July, citing ethical and legal obligations to their client. They're still legally obligated to their client, apparently because they're working on his behalf in this situation. Kohberger complained about mistreatment, including the threats of, yeah, we've all heard that. Kevin Fixler. But what I find interesting, though, is this action by Ann Taylor, who no longer is supposed to even be representing Brian Kohberger, according to unnamed sources that, are not sources at all, but most likely agents of chaos, in my humble opinion. So, while I have refrained from going to battle with these people for so long, I can only go so long and hear so much before I'm going to point out the obvious. There are 2 sects of people out there that I now have to battle with. One is the ones that want to sow just total BS every step of the way. And those are usually the guilters. But then there's this other faction that want to spew out videos and try to get clicks and views off of blaming Jack Showalter, Jack D, and the frats for everything. So I have to deal with them now as well. But all I can say is you may want to spend more than 5 minutes on a cursory look at a LinkedIn post before you open your mouth about 100 hours of work it took me to figure out who was in apartment number 43, which turns out was Jackson Colbuck Schneider, and how he could even have that apartment when I located Matthew there in Spokane, who actually rented the apartment for him and provided everybody the receipts for that. So, it doesn't appear like he became a University of Idaho student until 2023, but you can bet there in the fall of 2022, he was certainly getting his feet wet in that town, in that apartment. Not saying that he had anything to do with this atrocity whatsoever, but I am saying beyond certainty that his father did, and everybody now knows it. And I will continue to prove it. In fact, by the time I'm done with this is where I'm going to conclude things in the Idaho 4 case. I will have a airtight case for the alternate perpetrator delivered up like a silver platter to the defense. And if the defense doesn't jump on it, file an appeal, and go to trial with this new information, well, then it tells me that they found some way to connect Mr. Kohberger to this alt perp, which I don't believe they ever did and ever could, but I can certainly see how they tried to do it, and I'll show you that. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Post your comments, thoughts, criticisms. Till next time, Pavarotti's out.
Until